day to my ballistic blood brothers and sisters in arms. It is so nice to be back in front of a camera to be talking with you. If you've been following the ridiculous health saga that I've been going through, I had a third surgery in July, the very end of July. That makes 3 in the last 18 months that have absolutely kicked my rear end. But I'm starting to feel better. Finally going in the right direction, gaining some weight back, and the doctors are getting ready to start signing off on things if I continue to show improvement. So I got my fingers crossed, and appreciate all your support while I've been down. Anyway, I'm back to work at Poulan's on a limited basis. Poulan Auctions here in Fairfield, Maine. We have a big event coming up, a premiere auction in November, in just 2 weeks from now, November of 2022. And there are some fascinating pieces that have come through my office and across my desk, and I want to share them with you before they all go away to find new homes. And I thought we would start out right by looking at an original FG42 Paratroop rifle. These things are as rare as hen's teeth, and one in this condition, well, it's the nicest one that I've ever seen, and I want you to see it too. Stick around. The FG42 is a rifle that was primarily made as a paratroop rifle for the paratroop unit of the Luftwaffe, for their Air Force. And it was designed very much in the same capacity that the United States designed the BAR several years earlier. They wanted it to fit several different roles. They wanted it to be chambered in something that was already in heavy use, something that their larger machine guns were using, their crew serve guns. So it is an 8mm Mauser chambering, but it is much, much smaller and lighter weight, and actually easy for one person to be able to handle and manipulate it. And being small and portable was a really big reason that the FG42 was designed the way it was. They actually wanted it to be able to be used, believe it or not, in the same condition that a submachine gun would be utilized. Again, not to excel in that category, but maybe to be able to fill those roles a little bit. They wanted it to be able to be used in the same places that you use a heavy machine gun. So we've got full auto, select fire, firing from an open bolt. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So you can put heavy rounds down range, just like the heavy machine gun, in this much smaller package. They wanted something that could take the place of a rifle in a pinch. So you've got something that is semi-automatic to be able to take nice timed aimed shots with. And this was the final product, the FG42. It might not outperform any of those other platforms. It's not going to work better than a light machine gun or a crew serve gun. It's not going to work in that capacity. It's not going to work better than a submachine gun in a submachine gun role. It's not going to work better than a battle rifle actually would, but it's going to do a pretty darn good job at all of those things, something that completely separated it from all of the others. In order to get the most out of it, it was an ingenious design where it fires using an open bolt mechanism in full auto to keep the chamber a little bit cooler and avoid the potential for cook-offs, and it fired from a closed bolt in semi-auto, so you don't have that big lurking bolt just lunging forward before you take every shot, throwing things off. So it was a really interesting design. Open bolt for full auto and closed bolt for semi-auto. Again, giving you the best of both of those worlds. But its primary role would be what it was developed for, which was a gun for the paratroop unit of the Luftwaffe. That's what they really had in mind when they were putting this together. They wanted a gun that the guys could jump with and get right into action. It's a gas-operated mechanism, and it has a right-side reciprocating charging handle. The bolt system and op-rod system itself was heavily influenced by the Lewis gun. And if you look even further down the line at other guns like the United States M60, you can see the comparisons and the similarities in the bolt design even that late in our firearms development. This was a very early offering of what would become a very popular market, and that is that straight inline design where the recoil mechanism actually goes back inside of the shoulder stock. Any of the AR-15 and M16 guys, I'm sure, can see the similarity in that. It utilized a spike bayonet, And the bayonet, when not in use, is tucked right up underneath the barrel, slides right out. It's a very interesting spike bayonet, and slides right back in facing the right direction for use. When not in use, it would be protected by the bipod, which folded right up, almost in a clamshell design, and protected the bayonet itself. In order to tame the recoil, they designed a really effective muzzle brake, and it utilized 10 fins with 103 different ports. Very, very interesting and very effective brake. The front sight is a folding, fairly standard looking hooded post. The rear sight is a folding sight as well, and it was a spring-loaded drum where the sight could be depressed and the drum turned to the desired distance, and that would allow you to adjust it to allow you to be able to aim from 100 meters all the way to 1200 meters. Remember that part about fitting all of those different rolls? This is how they accomplished that. It's a very lightweight gun, weighing in at only 9.5 pounds. Think about that. A platform this small and light, chambered in 8mm. I can tell you from personal experience that these things absolutely recoil like a bear. Now, while it's common when these do occasionally surface to see them manufactured by Rheinmetall, and that's where they were originally designed, this particular one was manufactured by Krieghoff. One of the features that stands out the most when these guns are around is quite often the way that it feeds. It utilizes a 20-round magazine that's fed from the left-hand side. And in typical German over-engineering traits, it has a double dust cover to protect the feed mechanism when the magazine isn't inserted. Now, this particular FG42 is the cleanest and the nicest that I've ever seen. I've researched, cataloged, and even had the luxury or the pleasure of firing some others in the past, but this is by far the nicest one that I've seen. All the right stampings on all the right parts. It appears to be all absolutely correct. It is as close to something you would see in a museum, again, as any that I've ever seen. And this one is going to go across the podium in the November of 2022 premiere auction here at Poulan's. And it tickles me right to death that we've got the opportunity to look at this, to photograph it, to explore it, to research it, to talk about it, and to share it at the short time that it's here in Fairfield, Maine. Now, there were two variations of the FG42 that were manufactured. They're typically referred to as the first model or the second model. This is a second model. The easiest way to tell them apart, especially from afar, especially since we're usually looking at them through glass, is typically the angle of the pistol grip. On the second version, such as this, or the second model, it looks more like a traditional pistol grip. On the first model, it angled way to the rear. It was it was a very steep angle, and it actually kind of looked similar to some of the California compliant modern not a pistol grips. And I'll put a picture on the screen. I'm sure you'll see the similarity. But that would be the first model, FG42. This particular version or variant is the second model. Now, when I say that this particular version is the nicest FG42 that I've seen, cleanest, most original, I'm not just blowing smoke. Even the magazine, and this is an extremely rare find itself, the magazine is still coated in cosmoline. You can see the staining on the outside, and there's still actually wet cosmoline on the inside of it. So I hope that you enjoyed this peek at an extremely rare, extremely desirable gun, the second model FG42 Paratroop rifle. This thing is so cool. If you did enjoy it, please click like, share us with your friends in your vast social media universe, subscribe to the channel if you don't already, both on Rumble and on YouTube. And if you want to keep track of some of these interesting pieces a little faster as they come through, probably Facebook is the best place to do that, at facebook.com/guntestvids. Now, I promised some other interesting firearms. We have a 63A Stoner to look at. We have a Thompson gun, a model T2 from the T2 trials at Aberdeen Proving Grounds. And we have another BSA model Thompson, serial number 2, one of only 2 in existence. It's going to be a fun week, and I'm so glad to be here talking with you again. Till next time, have fun and be safe.